cases like this one didn't come along very often. In Red Creek Valley, the secrets grew like spider webs, and Ethan Carter disturbed one he shouldn't have. Now people were dying.
Hello everyone, this is Group 4 and we will be presenting The Vanishing of Ethan Carter for the Module Games Development. Here are our key roles for this presentation, starting off with the game artist. Hello everyone, my name is Hania Zafar Malik and I will be discussing the role of a game artist. To start off, what exactly does the game artist do? They are in charge of producing 2D or 3D art for the game's visual components, such as characters, textures, colors, lighting, objects, and the environment are all among the components on which they focus on. Traditional hand sketching remains a crucial talent for many tasks, despite the field's heavy reliance on digital art abilities. The appearance of the game is imagined and visualized by the game artists. They make color selections, character designs, texture designs, and level design concepts. To draw in more participants, they can also work on marketing materials and website designs. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a horror adventure video game which is mainly focused on the exploration and discovery. One of the fundamental tasks was to create the game's setting. Also, adding on, the highlights of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is to take note of its beautiful scenery provided in the game. The sceneries provided are so pleasing to the eyes that it makes Vanishing of Ethan Carter a game where taking a screenshot is a must, which makes it a game that can be compared to the games which are known to be produced with a higher budget or more commonly known as AAA games. As the game is played, it comes into realization that the game world is not that huge. However, the details of the game are so highly detailed that this fact is instantly forgotten. Although this can lead to your laptop/PC requiring you to setting up these settings as high as possible to enjoy the true essence of the game, the crafted details by the developers make it all the worthwhile. As the game is focused on the exploration, each detail is placed with intent and it tells us a story or event of that place. Thanks to this, when the user is playing a game, it feels as if though you are not navigating through a 3D model, but instead a real-life place, making it a semi-realistic game with some of the most realistic pieces ever made for a game. This can actually be achieved through a process called photogrammetry. Photogrammetry literally means the act of deriving precise measurements from photographs. It involves taking a set of overlapping photos of an object, building, person, or environment and converting them into a 3D model using a number of computer algorithms. The essential tools for using photogrammetry to create 3D models are a digital camera, tripod, computer, and a software. The process can be achieved in 4 simple steps. Step 1. Taking pictures. You take a picture of overlapping photos of the chosen object. Then, in step 2, you upload. You open your photogrammetry software of choice. In this case, the software was used Photoscan from AgileSoft, and import the photos directly into the project library. Moving on to step 3, creating the 3D model from images in photogrammetry software. And lastly, in step 4, the post-processing. There are usually floating artifacts, background noises, holes, and irregularities to clean up. The object will also need to be reoriented and rescaled, and shades to be added to give the look of the real-world object, which is all done in this step. Here, as you can see, this is an example of the photogrammetry which was used in the game. On the left-hand side is the original object, the artifact, which was later turned into a 3D model through photogrammetry and can be seen in the game on the right-hand side. And a little fun fact is that the hometown of Ethan is actually shot in Red Creek Valley in Wisconsin, and the landscape is based in Poland's Karkonosze Mountains. And now moving on to the additional amplification of graphics. After all the work to make true-to-life assets, the developers break it with somewhat stylized lighting, post-processing, and mixing scanned assets with traditionally crafted ones to give the vibe they were going for in the game. It is important to remember The Vanishing of Ethan Carter can generally be labeled as a horror-themed game, but in depth it is a weird fiction game, a dark tale, and not actually a documentary. And this needs to be supported by a certain visual style that goes beyond photorealism, which in many cases can be hard to achieve than photorealism. And that is all for the role of a game artist. Thank you so much. And now we will be moving on to the sound designer.
Sound designer Marcin Pervalovich and Nikolai Stroinsky. Role by Maria Vedra. The sound designer Marcin Pervalovich has created a beautiful soundscape for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. The sounds used was perfect for every setting in the game. The sounds of the lost miners, the turbines, and the rush of the water in some locations, like mines and when the player visits dams, magnifies the conditions and settings, since in real life, people frequently hear things before they're able to see them. Since all the music was never overused, it made it perfect, since the sound used and/or music is very important when people play a game. Though he didn't create the masterpiece of a soundtrack used in The Vanishing of Ethan Carter alone. Marcin Pervalovich had help from an award-winning composer named Nikolai Stroinsky. The both of them have worked on another game before named The Witcher 3. He gave the game an eerie yet gorgeous music. A main track is heard whilst exploring the surroundings, as it is an unrestricted exploration game. The soothing piano and strings, coupled by singing birds and the wind in the trees, might easily mislead the player into a false sense of safety. However, the music and sound just disappear as the player gets close to something interesting, like entering an abandoned house, leaving the player in an uneasy silence. The usage of music in this game is especially effective because it never becomes repetitive and helps the sound design stand out where it belongs. The game's stunning environment is complemented by the game's excellent music design, which makes the experience unforgettable. There are a total of 17 tracks on the soundtrack, like Bloody Roots and The Legs Are Gone. My personal favorite, and what I think suits the game most, is number 5, Valley of the Blinding Mist. It gives the eerie feeling, but also at the same time, it can also be used when the player is just exploring. I think that it's very versatile, and that's why I like the track the most.
Hello, my name is Verda Zishan and I shall be playing the role of a level designer for the game Vanishing of Ethan Carter, where in reality, the real level designer of this game are Adrian Chemalars and Krzysztof Justinsky. We shall start by getting to know basically what does a level designer do. As the name implies, a level designer concentrates on making the levels for a game. The aspects of engaging gameplay are basically known to a level designer. It is where the main gaming mechanics, regulation, and ideas would be contained. A level designer examines the details of the action, events, objects, and surroundings according to the specification set forth by the gameplay designer. This signifies that in order to achieve maximum functionality, a level designer must carefully plan the designing and also map the ideal layout of each level. In this game, the user will come across many different types of elements, such as inspection, aligning, chronology, puzzles, and interaction with many different objects. The puzzle elements basically include detective work, portal doors, maze, and gate puzzles. The map shown on the screen is the general map of the Red Creek Valley, and the location pinpointed on this map are the Forest of Trap and Skulls, Railcar Murder, Spaceman, Fake Interiors, the Witch's House, Graveyard Murder, the Murder in the Mines, Mine Gate Maze, Murder at the Dam, and last but not the least, the Vandergriff House. Keeping in mind that the user can choose to play whatever level they like, regardless of the fact that it does not change the ending whatsoever. But for this presentation, I shall be going through the actual order of this game, starting by scene 1, that is the Forest of Trap. This is the first scene of the game that enables the user to explore the forest, find and activate traps. Along with that, it gives the user the chance to enjoy the scene view offered in this level. The difficulty of this level is easy. The second level, or you could say the second scene, is the start of the detective element, where the user will solve all the mysteries coming their way. In this level, the user will find clues and also interact with movable vehicles. Along with that, basic logical thinking is to be performed to solve the chronological events that took place in that area. The difficulty of this level is medium. Scene 3 or level 3 is also the easiest scene in this game, as it allows the user to enjoy the scenic beauty of the outer space, which can be viewed once the user follows the astronaut to the spaceship. Once in the space, the user will get to read another story named as Fang by Ethan Carter. Scene 4 in terms of difficulty is the hardest, as the user has to memorize which door leads to which room in order to unlock the secret room that has another one of Ethan's letter, which is yet another new story that the user has to read in order to get to the next scene. Be mindful that the user gets only 2 chances to set the door right, if not, the whole level shall restart again. Moving on to scene 5. Scene 5 is yet again one of the easiest scenes of this game. This scene allows the user to sit back and enjoy the story which is told by the witch, and at the end, once she's done, you will then reach a tent where you will read a letter left by Ethan Carter and also a note left by his mom. Moving on to scene 6. Scene 6 is another detective, or you could say mystery solving scene of the game, as the user is required to find out the cause of murder of one of the family members near the graveyard. The difficulty level of this scene rises to medium, as the user must not only inspect the dead bodies but also find out the missing items to finally solve the chronological events that took place in that area. Moving on to scene 7. This scene includes the first maze-type experience for the user, as it requires them to find out the elevator within the mine. Along with that, the scene also includes interaction with movable vehicle that will help the user to find and collect different items within the mine. These found items are used to unlock the chronology part so that the user can solve the mystery of what actually happened in the mine. The level of difficulty in this scene is medium. Next up, we have scene 8. Scene 8 is also known as the Ancient God level, which again contains the maze element along with an NPC jump scare. The difficulty of this scene is hard, as the user has to inspect at least 5 dead bodies in order to solve the gate puzzle, which shall then lead them to the next part of the scene. And also, the user must avoid the ghost miner at all costs if they don't want to restart their whole scene all over again. Scene 9 is again another detective mystery solving scene of the game, as the user is required to find out the cause of murder of one of the family members. That is by inspecting and finding the lost item. Once the item is found, the user shall then solve the chronology part of the scene to know what had happened exactly. The difficulty of this scene is medium. Scene 10 is the final part of this whole game. It is another detective scene in which the user has to solve the gate puzzle, after which they shall enter a room. Once they enter the room, they will inspect the items, find the scenes, and then solve the chronology. The difficulty level of this scene is also medium. Once all the scenes are done, you will see a completed map as shown to you, and then if you want to continue any story, again, you will just have to click on it and hold the activate button to replay the story. That's it. Thank you.
Game Programmer Adam by Aeneas. Role played by Yumna. In this section, we will discuss the logic, mechanics, and structure of the game, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and finally, a summary of the platforms that stream this game. But before that, who is a game programmer? A game programmer is a software engineer, programmer, or computer scientist who primarily develops code bases for a video game or related software. A game programmer, on the other hand, should not be confused with the game designer. A game designer works on the creative side, whereas a game programmer works on the technical aspects of video games. Now, let's move on to the logic. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a first-person exploration game that prioritizes tone, exploration, freedom, and environmental storytelling over combat. While it includes a private detective and a number of mental challenges, our primary focus is on atmosphere, mood, and our character's essential humanity. Despite a few scary moments in the game, players will not require sedatives. Our game is about clammy unease rather than terror. However, the beauty of this game lies in its hands-off approach. You can wander wherever you want, right from the start, with no loading screens to pull you out of the experience. You can even simply linger on views like sprawling valleys, shimmering lakes, and autumnal forests that will make you want to screen cap nearly every moment. It confronts you with a mystery and leaves you to piece together clues to reveal the story. Next, we have the mechanics. We used an unusual technique called photogrammetry to create the settings in the game, a modeling technique that had previously been dismissed as being too time-consuming for the technical limitations of game engines. We used Photoscan from Edgysoft, which created realistically textured 3D models of photographed subjects through the photogrammetry technique. After its initial release on PC in 2014, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was created using the Unreal Engine 3. 1 year later, we released as a Redux version on PlayStation 4 and PC, upgraded to the Unreal Engine 4. Aside from the new engine, the revised version includes a new save system and removes backtracking from the game's ending sequence. Talking about the controls, we use the WASD keys for the normal movements within the game, along with some other keys including Q to select the preview, E to select the next option, and spacebar to open the vision. We also use right mouse click for zoom and left mouse click to interact with the object. Let's talk about the structure of the game. Since you play as a detective, you have been assigned to the case of a missing boy. You can see into the past and piece together memory fragments which manifest themselves as Ethan Carter's puzzles. These challenges reward you with snippets of backstory. The challenges will require your assistance, both the detective's supernatural ability to communicate with the dead and your own power of observation. The world in this game is full of tiny details and snippets of information just waiting to be devoured. You are free to explore the wilderness to your heart's content right away. You can conduct the investigation on your own terms and at your own pace. Areas can be visited in any order you want, giving you the freedom to personalize your time. The game has a non-linear design, which means you can solve puzzles and crimes in any order you want. There's no downside to this whatsoever, and it will just relay the story to you in a different order. At last, we have the platforms that stream this game. The game was released on Microsoft Windows on September 26, 2014. The Redux version was first released on PlayStation 4 on July 15, 2015, and later on Microsoft Windows, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch.
Hello everyone, this is Rabia Saqib, the game producer of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. As a game producer, there are some roles we have to take care about because there is a responsibility on us about how the game looks. There's also a saying that a producer can make you look good or make you look bad. Here are some roles that we performed while the production of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Number 1, scheduling events. Number 2, marketing and social media. Number 3, sales and reviews. Now coming on scheduling and events. Here are some events that took place from the start date of the Vanishing of Ethan Carter project to the launch date. On October 12, 2012, Astronaut Studio was launched. In the following year, on February
Cases like this one didn't come along very often. In Red Creek Valley, the secrets grew like spider webs, and Ethan Carter disturbed one he shouldn't have. Now people were dying. In the same year, on August 24, 2014, the game release date was disclosed and the PS4 version release date was announced. Following September 26, 2014, PC version was launched for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. In the next year, on July 9, 2015, the PlayStation 4 version trailer was released. On the same year, on July 15, 2015, Unreal Engine 4 Remaster was published for the PlayStation 4 version. Following on September 11, 2015, PC version of Unrealized was launched. Xbox version for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was launched on January 9, 2018, and on August 15, 2019, the Nintendo Switch version was released. Now, coming on to the marketing and social media. Promoting the game was tricky since our team had already opted not to reveal too much about it because it might give consumers a preview and make them less likely to play it because they would already be familiar with the storyline. Therefore, our team decided to sell the game by using less obvious resources such as animated GIFs, some commentaries, trailers, and screenshots. Sources we used for the marketing purposes of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. First ever teaser of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was uploaded on YouTube. We updated our Twitter account by the production and the teasers and screenshots of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Steam was the main marketing resource where the most of the marketing was done for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. We updated our official websites with the production methods and some of the sneak peeks of the game. Now, coming forward on sales and reviews. The business in the first month after release, the Astronaut Studio sold 60,000 copies.
of The Vanishing of Ethan Carter, and between December 2016 and December 2017, it sold more than 1 million. Reviews for The Vanishing of Ethan Carter were favorable. The PlayStation 4 version had an average rating of 81 by 100 based on 33 reviews, while the Microsoft Windows version received an average rating of 82 by 100 based on 66 reviews. Steam accounted for 77% of the game's sales, while retail, GOG, as well as other digital distribution outlets accounted for the other 23%. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter performed best in Western Europe, accounting for half of all sales. The game sold the most in the United States.